What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Supreme Tech. Today I got another Photoshop tutorial for you, and this one's going to be all about layers, and I'm going to break everything down for you in this video. It's going to be back-to-back information, so if you want, just pause the video, write some stuff down, maybe come back to it after you watch this, and just go over it yourself. This is the best way I like to learn the stuff, so I'm just giving it to you how I like to learn it, and then you can do with it whatever you want. So without further ado, let's get right into it. First things first, guys, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe, turn on them post notifications, and smash that like button if you enjoy the videos. Now let's get on to showing you about layers. First thing, I'm just going to ramble out some stuff, just quick, easy stuff that you're going to want to know about layers. You can click and move a layer. Okay, if it's locked, the background's locked, just click the unlock button and you can move layers on top or on bottom and whatever order you want to do it. Now, obviously the stuff that's on top of a layer is going to show up on top of your picture in the preview window, right? So say we add another picture to this and we just bring it over, put it on top. Okay, now you can see this picture is right here and the tiger picture is underneath it, so you will see this over the tiger picture. Okay, now whatever picture you're editing, you just want to make sure that you're selected on it where it's highlighted over here, right? And if you don't want to see a certain layer, you can click the eyeball next to it to hide it. Now, if you have a bunch of layers and you only want to see what one layer looks like, you can hold Alt and click on the eyeball, whichever one you want to see, and it's going to hide every other layer, okay? Also, from this layers panel, you can adjust your opacity, which is how see-through your image is, right? You can adjust your fill, which opacity and fill work together, so you can just tune that however you want to tune that. You also have blend modes, which you can get to right here where it says normal. Click on it, it's got a drop down, and you can apply blend modes to whichever layer. Just going to go back to normal. Moving on to the next thing in this layers panel. If you look right here, this is going to be your filter settings. So you can filter from pixel layers, which is just like regular picture layers, adjustment layers, text or type, shape layers, or smart objects. So say I want to look for just my pixel layers. I'm going to click it and it's going to just have that underneath. Next, you got your lock settings. So if you select the picture, you can lock it. You can lock the position, prevent auto nesting, lock all, lock image pixels, or lock transparent pixels. Now, as you notice, we got a lot of stuff going on if you have the layers panel here. Now, if you don't have it, it's easy to get it back. You just go up here to window and you come down to layers and you make sure it's checked. And you can also move it wherever you want. You can move it up here, but usually layers are going to be in your bottom right, and that's going to be pretty much the default for all picture editors, right? Alright, now another thing you can do is hold control and you can just click on different layers and select multiple. Okay, if you have them all selected, you can come drag them down to the garbage can and delete them all at once, or you can just select two and delete two, or do whatever you want to do. Okay, another very important thing about layers is if it's going to be a smart object, rasterized image, or vector. Okay, so as you can see here, if it has this little symbol in the bottom right corner of the thumbnail, it's going to be a smart object. You can always right click, not on the thumbnail, next to the thumbnail, and you're going to have all these options. You can convert it to a smart object. You can do all types of different controls from this panel. You can create clipping masks. Now, clipping masks are basically just attaching a layer to a different layer. So we're going to get into that in a little bit here. So just be sticking around for that. We're going to go ahead and right click again. And this is also where you can merge stuff. So say you select these two layers, and you right click, you can click merge layers. And it's just basically going to turn it into one layer. I don't usually like to do that. I mean, you can if you want. It depends on your workflow. But we're going to click Control Z to undo that. After that, guys, you can right click on the actual thumbnail of the layer, not next to it. If you see, we right click next to it, we got all these options. But if we right click on the picture, we got these ones. It's different. So here's where you can change your thumbnail size, if it's too big, too small, and you got some other options that you can do in here. Now moving on, also you can come up here to the layers tab and click on it. You can do a new layer, new background, group. We're going to get to groups in a second too. You can also duplicate your layer, which is the same over here. You could quick export, do layer mask, vector mask, clipping mask. Just a lot of different options. I'm not going to go through every single one. I'm just going through the most important things while getting in depth to where this isn't going to be just like a regular tutorial where they show you a couple things. This is pretty much breaking down the whole layers panel, the layers tab at the top, and all the different options you can do by right clicking and keyboard shortcuts and all your options down here, right? Next, we're going to talk about our options down here at the bottom. Now, the first one's going to be link layers, where you can hold control, pick two layers, and then link them. And they're not, like if you move one, the other one's going to move with it, okay? So you can do that to a bunch of different layers if you want, or just two. Doesn't matter, but you got to have at least two layers selected to do this. Next, we got FX. Now, these are a bunch of different things. Blending options, bevel and emboss, stroke, all these, right? Another way to get to these, you can just double click on the layer, not the thumbnail. See, if I double click on the thumbnail, it's going to make a whole new project and have it here as the background. We don't want that. We want to double click on the side, and it's going to bring up your layer style options. Here you can do plenty of different things. Like I said, if you want to add something, just click a check mark and mess with the settings. You can also come down here and adjust the sliders. There's a whole bunch of different things you can do. Now to turn off the effect, you just turn off the check mark. Alright guys, moving on from the FX button down here, we're going to move to the mask button. Now there's a bunch of different things you can do with the mask. The basic principle of the mask is whatever you have painted white is going to show through. Whatever you have painted black is going to disappear. So what I like to do, say we want to select this tiger. Let's make a quick selection of the tiger. Okay, I'm just doing it quick for the tutorial. I'm not going to get all the way and get it perfect, but if I were doing this for a project, I wouldn't do quick select, right? Now that we got it, we can click on our mask button, and everything that wasn't selected disappears, okay? And you can see our mask pops up right next to our thumbnail. So now we got our picture layer, and next to it, linked to it, is a mask. And like I said, black disappears, white shows through. So let's grab our brush tool and make sure your swatches down here are black and white. And let's just pick white. Now, if we're going to paint white, wherever we paint white is showing back through. So this is the old picture. If we paint it all white, it all shows through. Now you can see here on the mask, everywhere I paint, it's showing where I painted on the mask thumbnail. Now if you want to invert this, you just hold Control I, and it inverts your selections. Now there's a million different things we can do with masks. I'm not going to break it down, everything that we can do, but we can do it for every type of layer pretty much. So even our adjustment layers, which I'm going to show you next, we can add masks to. Speaking of adjustment layers, let's go ahead and show you. You can get to these by clicking down here on this little half-filled circle, or you can click on your adjustments window and pick which one you want. Again, if you don't have this window here, to get to it, you just click on window at the top and click on adjustments. But usually I like to just click the little circle down here, and once you do, you can pick which kind of layer. Now there's a ton of different ones here. You can do solid color, which is just like a background color. This one right here is a solid color. See, if I hide the tiger, it's completely white. After that, you got gradient. Let's just show what a gradient looks like. Now gradient, we can turn it to different presets or whatever you want to click. Here we go. We can click OK. Then we got a gradient, right? Let's go ahead and hide that. Oh, another thing real quick. For the masks, you can hold shift and click on the mask, and it'll put a red X through it and hide it. So if you want to see what it's looking like without the mask, you just hold shift and click on it. So we're going to hide it for now. Next adjustment layer we got is pattern. I showed you what a pattern is. Then you got brightness, contrast. Okay, you can adjust what it says. Adjust the brightness and the contrast. After that, we got levels. Levels, you can adjust a lot of different things in here. You got some presets, or you can adjust the red values, green or blue, or you can do all RGB values. Also from here, you can use the color pickers, but you adjust the sliders and you can make your brights bright and your darks darker and all types of different things. Another thing I forgot to mention, once you make your adjustment layer, you're going to edit them, or you're going to change the options through the properties window. Again, if you don't have it, go to window, properties, and click it. Okay, moving on, let's go to the next adjustment layer, which is curves. You can do a million different things with this one too. This is one of my favorite adjustment layers. But say you want to make some points on here and adjust certain things however you want to do. Next, we got exposure, which is just the exposure values. Then you got vibrance. Then you got hue, saturation. Hue is what color you're picking. Saturation is how much color. Then you can also change the brightness. So let me show you a cool thing with hue. Let's click on our color picker and let's pick the orange on the tiger. And then see how it's selected the reds in the drop down. Then we can change the hue. And let's just make it green. You can also mess with the brightness and the lightness, or the saturation and the lightness. And then they got other stuff down here where you can fine tune it. Next adjustment layer is going to be color balance. And this is just basically exactly what it says. You're balancing the cyan and the reds, the magenta and the greens, and the yellows and the blues. So if you got too much blue in your image, or you got too much green, see we got a lot of green, we come here, lower the magentas. If you got a lot of reds, take out some of the reds. You can also preserve luminosity. That helps keep the light how it's supposed to be. Now moving on, what's the next one? Black and white. You can turn everything grayscale. Then you got photo filter, channel mixer, color lookup, invert, posterize, threshold, gradient map, and selective color. So all these ones here, if you can see on the right hand corner, these are all adjustment layers, right? So it'll have a symbol here, and then it'll automatically make a mask. So say we did our hue saturation. We got our mask here, right? So let's click on the mask, and say we don't want it covering up this green part. Remember what the properties of the mask are. The white shows through and the black doesn't. So we want to get our brush tool out, get the black, and if we paint black on our mask, it's going to remove that green color. Because remember, when you make an adjustment layer, it's gonna select the whole image unless you already have a selection made. Say you make a selection like this, then you add an adjustment layer, it's just going to affect where you made the selection. So say you pick black and white. Let's pick that. Let's turn that on. Let's get the brush out again, and let's get the black brush. Say it's black and white, right? But say you want the head colored. You would make sure you're selected on the black and white mask. You see these white lines on it? That's how you know you're selected. And you would just paint black over the face. And now you can see on the mask, the black is not showing through. That means the black and white adjustment layer is not showing through wherever you paint black. It's just a real easy way to remember masks and how they work. That's why I spend so much time on them, because if you master masks, you can do a ton of different things in Photoshop. Okay, now say you got a picture down here. Let's just go ahead and get rid of all these. Click on it, hold control, click on all of them that you want deleted. We're going to delete all these adjustment layers, okay? Just drag them down to the garbage bin. Okay, let's bring this one back up. Now, let's go ahead and do another adjustment layer. Let's do an adjustment layer to the koala picture. Let's do a hue saturation. Now, as you can see, I'm changing. Let's change the trees green. Now, I changed the trees green, but it's affecting the tiger, and I don't want it to affect the tiger. I don't want it to affect anything else lower than just this picture. Okay, I just want to change these green. Now, to do that, it's real simple. All you got to do is hold Alt and come to the line in between the adjustment layer and the picture, and you're just going to clip it. This is a clipping mask. Okay, what that does is it attaches this adjustment layer, the hue saturation, that's our color change layer. It's connecting it to just the koala picture here. So when you clip something to something underneath it, remember it's not going to bleed through. Now if we hold Alt and click and hover over the line so the icon appears again and click it, it's going to undo it. Another way to do this is to right click and create clipping mask, and it's going to attach to the one underneath it. There's also a keyboard shortcut, which I can't remember off the top of my head, but there is one. Okay, now I like doing this because this is non-destructive, but if you wanted to, let's get rid of the clipping mask. If you wanted to do another thing, you can just select these two layers, the hue and the picture you want affected, and just merge them. Right click, merge layers. Now it just turned into one layer. But doing that, you can't come in and change these trees if you wanted to, because that's destructive. We like to work non-destructive whenever we can, because then you can always make changes. Let's undo that, and let's move on to groups. Now groups is technically same thing as clipping, kinda. Say we want the hue saturation and that one picture of the koalas. We're going to click this, hold control, click this layer, and we're going to click group. Now, the only bad thing about groups is it's not going to do the clipping for you. Okay? It's just going to put these in a smaller thumbnail where you can access it easier. You can still open your group up, come in here, and clip this if you want. Okay? That's an easy way to do it. But groups are just easy for putting a bunch of stuff, like it says, grouped together wherever you want. Alright, moving on, we're going to move to text layers. Real simple. If you come over here to the left-hand side, you can right-click on the T, and you got 4 different text tools. You got horizontal, vertical, then you got horizontal, vertical, mask. We're just going to use the regular horizontal. You're just going to click and drag. As you can see, it made a text layer. Okay? Now let's just type in text. Okay, and we can change all the properties of this. Let's change the color because it's not showing up good. Change it to white. Now you can see it. Click on the layer to finalize your selection. We can move it wherever we want to move it. We can also make stuff appear in the text, but anything you want to do, you can do. Just be creative, make what you want to make. With the text layers, same thing, guys. You can do any of the other stuff to it. You can add mask, you can add adjustment layers, you can add FX, change the blend mode right here, opacity and fill. You can do it all. So text layers are cool because you have so much options with them too. Same thing applies with the clipping mask also. You can clip this to whatever. How we doing so far? Let me know down below. Let me know if you're learning this all, if you're retaining it. And if you need to know something that I haven't mentioned, put it down in the comments. Or also let me know if there's something that you've seen that would help out other people. Like I said, if I left it out or something, just leave it down below. I hope this video really helps you guys out. It was kind of a long one, but I wanted to break down layers and show you all the different things you can do with them. And I'm sure I left stuff out, but you guys will let me know. So I think that about does it. Again, if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Smash that like button if you like this video. And I'll see you in the next one.